9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff on the Falcon 9. Go Starlink.
Angle's pushing downrange. Stage 1 chamber pressures are nominal.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Vandenberg Space Force Base, carrying our stack of 52 Starlink satellites to orbit. Moments ago, we throttled the engines down in preparation for max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure, which we should see in just a few seconds
Falcon
here.
is supersonic. Max Q.
We did just pass through max Q. Now we will have 3 events happening in quick succession. First, we will have main engine cutoff, or MECO, followed by stage separation and second engine startup 1. Now first, main engine cutoff, or MECO, is where all 9 of the M1D engines shut off to slow the stage down in preparation for stage separation. This is where the first stage and the second stage separate, with stage 1 starting to make its way back down to Earth for landing, while stage 2 continues on its journey to orbit.
MVAC chill started.
Now the third event is second engine startup 1, and this is where that single MVAC engine on the second stage lights up and propels the second stage along with the Starlink satellites to orbit. Just a few seconds after second engine startup 1, there will also be fairing deployment, so you'll want to keep an eye out for that.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
You just saw stage separation, main engine cutoff, and second engine startup 1.
Fairing separation confirmed.
There you can see the fairing halves popping off, revealing our 52 Starlink satellites. We have had successful fairing deployment. Again, SpaceX has reflown Falcon fairing halves since November of 2019. And again, that was our 3rd flight for one of those halves and the 4th flight for the other. We will be attempting to recover those halves once again when they return to Earth. Now, as stage 2 heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit, stage 1 will execute 2 burns in order to make its way back down to Earth. The first is the entry burn, where 3 of the M1D engines will reignite, and this helps to slow the stage down as it re-enters the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere. The second burn is the landing burn, and this is a single engine burn that brings the vehicle's speed down rapidly in order to land on our drone ship. If you're just catching up with us, we have had a successful launch of Falcon 9 from Vandenberg Space Force Base, and you're looking at a live view of Falcon 9's second stage as it delivers our Starlink payload to orbit. Stage 1 is currently making its way back to our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, which is stationed in the Pacific Ocean. Now, the Merlins on the first stage are optimized for sea level, and these achieve 190,000 pounds of thrust during ascent and descent. And in contrast, the MVAC engine that you see there is optimized for 220,500 pounds of thrust in vacuum. The main difference between these 2 engines is just the size of those nozzles. On the first stage, Falcon 9 is equipped with 4 hypersonic grid fins, which are positioned near the top of the stage, and these are used to help steer the first stage as it returns to Earth.
Both vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
We are about a minute and a half from the start of our Stage 1 entry burn. Again, this is a 20-second burn that will slow the first stage down as it enters the Earth's atmosphere. The Falcon 9 first stage is also equipped with 4 landing legs made of state-of-the-art carbon fiber with aluminum honeycomb. These are placed symmetrically around the base of the rocket and deployed just prior to landing. Second stage continues to look good there, carrying our payload of 52 Starlink satellites. As we come up on our first stage entry burn here in about 30 seconds, just a reminder, it is a 3-engine burn, and it is meant to slow the first stage down as it hits the thicker layers of the Earth's atmosphere.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
There's the start of our Stage 1 entry burn, 20-second burn.
Both vehicles are following nominal trajectories. Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
We did just have a successful Stage 1 entry burn. Now, for those who follow along,
Stage 1 flight termination system is safed.
For those of you who follow along, you'll know that the soot on the rocket indicates that it's been flown before. You can't quite see it in those views from the first stage right now, but when the rocket-grade kerosene, or RP1, used to fuel Falcon 9 burns, it's actually carbon-based, so it generates soot. And now as the booster approaches its landing site during descent and performs its long re-entry burn, which it just did, it actually flies through its own plume, and the soot is deposited on the booster. If you watch
Stage
from the
1 transonic.
If you watch the feed from the onboard camera during landing, you can hopefully see the soot sticking on the lens. Stage 1 landing burn should be starting here really shortly, just a few seconds. Again, this is also a 20-second burn.
Vehicles and terminal guidance. Stage 1 landing burn.
Stage 2 flight termination system is saved.
We did just start our Stage 1 landing burn.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy. Seco 1.
You can see we did just have successful first stage landing of our 98th overall orbital class rocket.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And this includes both Falcon 9 and Heavy first stage landings. We heard the call out during that Stage 1 landing that we did have second engine cutoff 1. We're just waiting for confirmation of a
Nominal
good
orbit
orbit.
insertion.
We just heard the call out for nominal orbital insertion. So next up, we will be having payload deploy at about T plus 15.5 minutes. Unfortunately, at that time, we won't have ground station coverage, which means we won't have a visual or data confirmation of a successful deployment until we acquire signal at our Mauritius ground station at about T plus 50 minutes into flight. Until then, sit back and enjoy the space jams, and we'll see you soon.
Expected loss of signal, Vandenberg.